Hi, and welcome. This is Leaders with Leverage. I'm your host, Susie Tomanchuk. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to talk a little bit about managing up today. It's a topic that I work with many organizations on. And I have to say, when I start talking about this, some people hadn't taken the time to really think about managing up and what that means. And when I think of managing up, it's not just to your direct report. That's what we're going to talk about today. But managing up is about managing relationships all around the organization. To me, it is managing up, but it's also managing up and a little bit to either side. It's managing to your peer group. As leaders, it's our responsibility to have a 360 management when it's not just to our direct reports. It's all over the sphere of your influence. So today I want to talk about just a couple best practices for you when you think about managing up to your boss and why it's important. So as we know, trust is a most I would say the most critical aspect of a relationship with your boss, with your peers, with the people that work for you. But let's talk about that with your boss. Trust, when you build a relationship with trust, you open up the communication, the feedback, the ability to delegate. When you have a trusted relationship with your boss, they feel comfortable handing things off to you, talking to you, opening up a little bit more with their context of what it feels like to be them. And that's so helpful for a couple of reasons. When you have that optic lens to understand what they're going through beyond what you are doing, you can understand what politics they face in their role, what's important, what will make them look good to their boss, to their peers, so that you can, if you can be a positive contributing factor that you can help there, you can help them. Because listen, at the end of the day, our role is to help our organization have better business results, for our peers to do better, and of course, for our boss to be successful. Because when they are, that just helps the culture, that helps them feel like the abundance so they can feel comfortable and confident. And it just helps overall. So let's go. I'll give you three. If you listen to my other podcasts, we always do things, James and I, in threes, our quick take podcast. So I'm going to take a page from that podcast today. So the one thing is to think about your boss's goals. And if you don't know what their goals are, I mean, I'm not just saying the company goals. What are their professional goals? How can you get to know that so that you understand what maybe they're working on? When you have that when you've built that trusted relationship, those are things that you can tease out. And maybe it's, when you get to go out to dinner, or you're walking down the hall, like when you're in a casual conversation, maybe those are the best times to tease out some of that information. Always be kind of fishing for more information about your boss, what their goals are, and pay attention to their communication style. It might not be what they say. Listen and watch how they communicate to their boss. Watch and see how they communicate to other people around you. Notice what they like to use. Do they email all the time? Do they pick up the phone when they have a quick question? Do they IM? That is normally because that's the channel they most use and they're familiar or comfortable with. It's also great to adapt to the way they communicate. We always think about the way we think in our minds. Of course, because we're the only people that live in our head. But when we think about it from their perspective of what their style is, how they like the cadence of information, even ask them. But when we tailor it to what they already do or what they're used to, then it's more familiar to them. So it's easier for them to understand it. So it may feel a little bit foreign to us, but it won't to them. So look at their communication style, understand their goals, and have that frame when you're communicating with them. That's one. Um, Now, this is an oldie, but such a goodie around providing solutions, not just problems. Oy, this can be really hard to do, especially in the heat of the moment where you're just at your wit's end with something and you just want to go and just throw it on their desk to figure out. And it's a great best practice, even if you don't have a great solution at the time, to at least spend a few minutes brainstorming what the potential possible solutions are, and even be able to frame it. Listen, I'm going to bring you a problem and I don't have a lot of solutions, but I've been thinking about it and here's some possibilities. I'd like to take time to tell you what's going on, solicit some feedback from you, tell you what I'm thinking, and see what I need to do next to come up with a solution. So that's one way to frame it in case you can't bring a solution to a problem, or you suddenly realize you just brought a problem without a solution. Think about how do you reframe it in a way that you're not trying to just lob this big, hairy thing on their desk to figure out for you, and you didn't have any thought around how you were going to handle it. This is an important thing for leaders to take the time to consider, brainstorm, make it a best practice so that you're always thinking about what are the solutions, moving back forward in that way. Sometimes when we're in the midst of a problem, we're triggered by emotions. So you may need a little bit of time. Your tendency might be to pick up the phone and sound off the alarms about what's going on. But if you can even take a few minutes and brainstorm some solutions, you'll have a more level head when you walk into your boss's office, or call the boss. It's such a different, can't assume that anymore. So that's number two. The third thing is to always understand where you stand from your boss. Ask for feedback, specific feedback, feedback that is proactive. Say, I really want to work on this. Can you help me with that? You told me that this was what I needed to work on. Can you watch for that in this meeting? Um, Ask them, how did you think that went? But the more you can tell them what you want to make sure that they're watching for, that will give you better, really comprehensive feedback whenever you can do that. Or if they give you feedback, say, well, I'm going to really work on that and I'm going to come back to you and ask you about it. And when you get feedback from them, you must act on it. You must really be thoughtful about how to integrate it and illustrate to them that you're doing it. You may not overtly say, hey, I wanted to just call you and let you know that you told me that I needed to do X and I'm doing it. And this is the um, evidence of that. You really need to think about how do you show them, because what happens with feedback is that even if it's our boss, if we don't act on it and they continue to give us great feedback, they get tired of giving it to you if you don't act on it. It does happen. It's human nature. So when you show them that you value their feedback, what they're giving to you, that investment in you, it allows them to feel comfortable giving it to you more often when necessary, not unnecessary. And it shows them that you value that. That builds that trust in that relationship as well. So the three things that I said about managing up, there's so many more, but these are three ones if you're not actively managing up to start with now. So the first one is understanding your boss's goals and communication style and how can you adapt to that? Being aware of what are those channels, what is the structure, what is the outline, how can you do it better? Even if it's not your style, you better kind of make some shifts to make it better for your boss and talk to them about that. The second one was providing solutions, not just problems, even thinking about that frame of how do you frame it to let them know that you didn't just come and give them this problem, but you have considered some things and you want to help them. You want them to help you think through what the next steps are if you don't have a lot of solutions available in that moment. And then the third is when you get feedback, act on it and solicit some more feedback. Don't wait for the annual review or when they're coming to you. Ask them for feedback too. That illustrates that you want to get better, and show them that you're open to it. The one way to really stop feedback is to be defensive about it, or not open to it, or not to follow up with it. So those are the three. I'll just say we're going to talk about managing up a few different times, but those are three things to think about now, and to start actively do this. I will tell you, managing up is the key to really building a strong and meaningful relationship with your boss that will reap benefits to you. And it's great to get in the practice of doing this with your boss. These are great best practices for the people that are around you too. So that's it for this one. I just want to thank you for being here. I would welcome a DM, or give me something that you want to me to talk about on this podcast. I appreciate when people reach out to me and say they're listening. It's an honor. It really is, and I'm so happy that you're here. So again, my name is Susie Tomanchuk, and this has been Leaders with Leverage. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you.